Welcome again to the ProDota 2 National Cup. This time around, everybody loaded into the game, so we'll be ready to start this two-game series between Team Ukraine and Team Yugoslavia. Funnick had loading issues in game number one, apparently went AFK to get a coffee and then never came back. They talked with Aloha Dance to stand in case he didn't show up, but in the end, Funnick did show up, so we'll have a game on our hands. I'm Grandin and once again, I'll be joined by Llama Down Under.
Hey, and yeah, we're already getting into it. Everybody loaded this time. As you said, Aloha Dance viciously kicked. But yeah, we do have, I think, three of the core members. And Funnick, I know a lot of people very excited to see him play.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as their stand-ins, very potent individual players when it comes to the pub scene. They are pretty reliable stand-ins, but as far as I know, I don't think they're on any teams, at least any popular teams. Right now we're going to start things off with a lot of offlaner hate. Darkseer Bounty Hunter are going to take the bans early, and then Io will also be banned out by Team Ukraine.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We saw this yesterday. We're still not sure if the Bounty Hunter is viable or not as a first pick with those nerfs, but clearly some teams think he is, some don't. Do you know what the Io picks ban is about?
When this lineup played under the tag of My Insanity, and when these players played for that team, they very often fell back on the IO, and to great success too. It's a comfort pick for them.
Yeah, and we do see the Invoker banned out, and so this is... I was hoping to see him picked, but I just think this is new patch, getting to know it. Not quite sure what's too strong, not quite sure how it'll interact, so it'll be interesting to see what else. But we get the Quap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably for Funnick, or maybe going to be thrown mid lane for them. There's a lot of flexibility coming with the hero, and in general, just a solid pick. Despite being nerfed a bit, I think Queen of Pain was already in a pretty good spot, and she still is.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see whether she's off lane, as you said, or mid, and I think it's going to determine a lot. We saw yesterday a couple of Quaps who did get played in that offlane, just didn't get much farm and seemed to have no game presence. So preferring her mid right now, but of course it also depends on the lineup. Do you think we'll see Undying? And, we saw some aggro Undying Tusk. Never mind.
It's going to be a Jakiro for now. Picked up by the Yugoslavia side. Jakiro has been changed a little bit, but even before that, a nice aggressive pick. And they'll stay with that theme and pick up the Night Stalker.
Yeah, I really like both of these, right? We've seen the support Night Stalker work quite a bit. We haven't seen him in a core role yet, but he's still very powerful. And an Ogre Magi. I'm excited. Already have a Jakiro and an Ogre. What more can I ask for?
Pretty much. Ogre Magi is really going to start seeing a lot more play. Even if he wasn't touched, Ogre was already a reasonable pick. If you are planning to play aggressive, can roam very effectively early on, and does a lot of damage from that support role, and more than anything, is incredibly hard to trade hits with. A stupid amount of armor and HP regen.
Yeah, really excited for that. I'm trying to remember what changes Jakiro had, if any. He did have some... Okay, so his Breathe Fire got sped up, and his Dual Breath damage got increased, and Ice Pot's range got increased. Never mind, that is a lot of buffs on Jakiro. I did not realize he got so many, so that makes sense as to why he's picked. I also wonder what role. I know a while back he was offlane, and usually support these days, though.
Yeah, and maybe even in a dual lane with the Night Stalker. Night Stalker Jakiro could apply a lot of pressure early to the safe lane coming out from Team Ukraine. We really don't know yet. There is a lot of different ways that they could shuffle around these heroes, and we don't know how they're experimenting and how they're going to play them out. So, very interesting. Also, another way you could throw it in Jakiro mid is viable. Getting early levels means that Jakiro can do so much damage inside the fights and apply a lot of pressure to towers. Although he does scale off pretty quickly, does have a sweet spot, and if they draft around it, they could hit that pretty hard.
Yeah, we've already seen a team be almost like they're playing the death ball and being pretty successful when it came to getting towers down early on. So Jakiro is certainly someone who helps that. But we see Slok, Zeus. I don't believe Zeus received any changes. I've seen him a couple times now. I'm a little bit surprised. Maybe just other heroes being nerfed, making him more viable.
I guess so, but I think a bigger thing is a lot of vision spells around the game have been nerfed, and it's a little bit harder to get that vision, and Zeus is pretty much the king of map control and can set up very easily for your ganks. every 90 seconds with that Thunder God's Wrath. So I think it's a reasonable ban here, and I'm just afraid of some early aggression coming out from the Yugoslavia team, as they should be. As far as the bans coming out from Team Yugoslavia themselves, Tuscan Earthshaker will be taken out of the pool, and I think these are a little bit more conventional and probably just a little bit more cookie cutter.
Yeah, so wondering exactly what I feel like both teams still could potentially run something like the AM or the PL, both left in and both not nerfed super heavily. So, but we've seen some teams also just really ignore them, like for example, Gyro's in and nobody's picked or banned him yet.
Yeah, Joe would be a reasonable pick for sure if you're on Team Yugoslavia now, or even for Team Ukraine. Instead, it's going to be a Dazzle. This is going to be an enabler for the Night Stalker in particular, just dive headlong into the enemy team. And in general, a really good pick.
Yeah, it's I really agree on the Dazzle, really solid. I would love to see them counter with an axe. I've seen a few teams counter before with an axe, but it is someone who isn't the easiest to run. But last time I saw this, they just ran an axe mid, and it was very silly. And if it is a Night Stalker mid, that's potentially one way to deal with him. At the same time, Night Stalker, of course, does have that, gets very strong at nighttime. And instead they go with the Witch Doctor. Nice.
Yeah.
Another strong support.
And he can also counteract those dives coming out from the Night Stalker. Responding with a paralyzing cast can be very disruptive when you're trying to go for those tower dives, and the towers could be buffed up by the Bloodlust coming out from the Ogre Magi. I think the Ogre might end up being run as the offlaner for Team Ukraine, so we still really have no clear indicator as to how these lanes are going to shake down, at least for sure.
Yeah, we've already seen that Bloodlust tower interaction. It makes the towers huge. It did make them attack a bit, like it was noticeably faster. We only saw it at level 1 because that game ended, and it is the anti-mage. I see nothing wrong with this, right? It looks like he's got a lot of space creation with the Night Stalker, with the Jakiro. Also, I think Jakiro, Dazzle, if those two are the supports and not Night Stalker, I feel like they've got some smoke potential, especially with the increased range on Ice Path, but that would mean Dazzle probably has to put points into Poison Touch early on.
Not necessarily something he wants to be doing, but is for sure an option. The game plan right now, at least for Team Yugoslavia, feels like it's for fight to protect the farm of the Anti-Mage. Apply pressure to make sure that Anti-Mage has as much space as possible on the map to feel free to farm. But that said, I think that Ukraine's supports in particular, and the Queen of Pain also, have a lot of tools to, I don't know, put pressure on the enemy time, or enemy side in turn, and make sure that Anti-Mage isn't able to get that much around the map. So could be a very brawl-heavy game.
Yeah, and it's also really, it's always really funny with an Ogre Magi, right? It's one of those things where as an anti-mage, you're thinking, look, I should have enough health. If I get fire blasted, it's going to be a-okay, and then there's a 3 times multicast, and you're dead. So it's always interesting, and depending on how effective, I feel like Witch Doctor Ogre, or if this is an offlane Ogre, Witch Doctor +1 seems like a much more potent gank lineup, and a Spectre, I certainly wasn't expecting a Spectre as our pickup.
Spectre directly got buffed, and also a lot of the items Spectre likes going for, Mantis Style Radiance, also got changed. So Spectre is a really potent carry right now, and I think as far as the late game situation for both of these teams, it could be very close. And it will allow them to combat the anti-mage in the super late game scenario, and if Spectre gets out of control, could also I don't know, just outright end this game early. Being able to contribute a lot better than the anti-mage to the early skirmishes, being able to globally contribute to the team with that haunt. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more Spectre play in the upcoming weeks.
Yeah, and oops, sorry. Not always the most exciting, as you said, just because she does sit back and farm, but because of the haunt, we at least will be seeing these rotations kind of every time the haunt is up, she will try to make sure she's involved in a kill, and it does powerfully allows you to farm. So it'll be interesting also just to see how she manages to handle laning. So,
Yeah, both
Breaker.
teams. Yeah, well, that'll be the ban coming out from Team Yugoslavia. Both teams have a lot of potential to apply pressure in the safe lanes and maybe even go for dual lanes like Night Stalker Dazzle or Night Stalker Jakiro or even Jakiro Dazzle. There's a lot of different ways they can shuffle around for Team Ukraine to make sure that Spectre isn't getting that much space, and similar for the side of Team Ukraine. Ogre Magi +1 could be very annoying for the anti-mage to deal with, and at the very least would draw attention from the supports away from rotating towards mid.
Yeah, and it suddenly I I honestly was not expecting a silencer. I
Silencer mid. The matchup against the Queen of Pain is pretty good. Can stop Spectre from realitying into the fight, and in general, I think fits the playstyle for the side of Team Yugoslavia. I like the pick quite a lot. In fact, it really harms Spectre's ability to join the fray and forces her hand into going towards the Manta style after the Radiance. Until she has the Manta, won't be able to reliably get into the fights. If you see that Haunt dropped, throw the global, and then their ability to take those fights is going to be very mitigated. Ancient Apparition now also going to suffer from a similar issue if the globals are timed properly. This
yeah,
silencer probably going to get some farm mid.
this is a bit surprising. So, oh, there's our crash. I love Ancient Apparition. He's actually one of my favorite heroes, so I'm glad to see him picked up. Oh goodness, and I'm actually having trouble closing with this crash. But at the same time, as you said, he does have a lot of trouble with the silence. It's a little bit of a surprising pick, just because if the global is thrown as the A's blast is in the air, then you're not getting that off. But he did receive a slight buff in the cost range of Cold Feet, and I don't know if that'll make him super viable, but him plus a Witch Doctor is usually more than enough. Because players of this level should be able to throw the cask and just have it bounce between two or three things. That should be good enough for setting up kills with a Spectre who also slows.
Yeah, another hero that does very well in those pressure lanes and when you're brawling early. One of the best. Chilling Touch is an amazing spell, and although Ogre Magi maybe not the best to utilize it, is still better than most melee heroes. Um, my Dota isn't loading again. Ooh.
Don't worry, we're paused, so it's okay that you are not here. Everybody had issues. I think the players actually paused for us, maybe just because everybody disconnected. So, and then I got my second crash. Always exciting. Crash gaming.
Yeah, that
Looking,
was very frustrating.
yeah, just looking at the two lineups, do you have a preference for either team?
I'd say that Team Ukraine, just based on skill level alone, will probably have a slight edge. But given that silencer pick, I think the draft advantage might even be slightly favored towards Team Yugoslavia. It really feels like a very close matchup when it comes to the picks from either team, and should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, there's also that odd interaction where,
Oh no, I crashed again.
yeah, I got the two apparently on this patch. Okay, looking around, I don't see any action happening. We got folks moving towards the bounty runes because we're about 30 seconds away from the zero mark, and no smokes up yet, so we'll see. Funnick is playing that Ogre Magi. He has two rings of protection. What patch is this? And Jakiro, it's I think it's going to be an off-lane Night Stalker, but I think we were assuming that already looking at the draft. He might actually have Mitch with him, so it is that harass lane you talked about, where you just try to stop their carry from farming.
Yeah, with two rings of protection, Ogre is actually impossible to kill. He has how much physical resist at this point? Really, the nuking potential coming out from the Radiant side is hardly anything at all. Even with just one stack of tangles, that should sustain himself 14 armor and 45% physical resist from the gate. Funnick is an absolute menace, even if he is just left completely alone. And it looks like he will be. They'll send the Witch Doctor and Ancient Apparition up towards top to make sure that Spectre is able to find her farm.
Yeah, and I do worry how much can a Jakiro Night Stalker do against this tri-lane. They'll continually try to kill Jakiro, I assume, just because he is a much squishier target, and, well, we'll be seeing. They're wrapping around, but
Yeah, right now Jakiro has a little bit more HP than that of the Night Stalker, but doesn't have the regen and doesn't
no
have
armor.
the doesn't
Well,
have the
two
armor.
armor, but
As far as in heroes go, it's reasonable, but definitely not as much as the Night Stalker. And even with all of that armor on the Night Stalker, they have Chilling Touch. So both of these heroes are viable targets, I'd expect. But they'll still be able to make sure that Spectre isn't getting absolute free farm. The constant Liquid Fire harass, the dual breath, and in general just being tanky in this lane is going to be annoying for FN.
100%. So, oh, yeah, we will be seeing just. I'm also. Oh, okay, there's the DC. I'm also interested really in how this mid matchup works out. Silencer with the Lost Word. You get a lot of reliable damage on your opponent, but Queen of Pain has that slow, so might just be able to auto attack down the Silencer if he's out of position at all.
Yeah, and Silencer in the mid lane is very immobile, but as long as the supports are tied up towards top, and with this dual lane they should be, 1v1 versus the Queen of Pain will have a reasonable time. Right now, the Queen of Pain is edging you out as far as CS is concerned. But once you start getting more points up into those glaives, getting the CS by yourself is a little bit easier and can trade pretty effectively against the Queen, although I think when it comes to individual skill level, Resolution is going to have a slight advantage over Grazine.
Yeah, and it'll also be interesting. We've seen Queen of Pains snowball before. Silences take a lot longer to snowball if they're going to. There is a stat that a silencer who's involved in half of their team's kills has like an 80% win rate, half or more, just because of how powerful the int steal is. But as you said, like, it's a mid silencer. He's not one of those supports often setting up kills. Unless he goes a blink, it's hard to get in.
Yeah, Blinker's Shadowblade, you see those pretty often on mid-silencers. Shadowblade maybe more so, and Force Staff is very core on the hero. In general, the rotations probably will come out, but not for much later. Phonic down towards bottom is just immovable, but is going to struggle to keep his mana sustained down towards bottom lane. Won't be able to cast very much, if any, spells. They'll look for a heal bomb on towards him, but the damage is negligible.
Yeah, poor Bucktop wasn't able to find... Oh, Victor wasn't able to find this ward. His sentry's actually in the right place, and so he's just gone to lane to harass. Oh, there's no mana, so he knows he can harass. I like this decision though, because AM was being run out of lane by Ogre Magi before Victor came in. So
yeah, it looks like the Ogre's gonna go for a poor man's shield next. I don't see them being able to kill him. Ever.
He's taking literally no damage. It's like the meme. How much per hit? Yeah, he's taking 20 damage a hit. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, whenever he gets a Stout Shield proc, they're hardly touching him at all. Invis Ring going to be picked up by the Dazzle. Victor does have a point in Poison Touch, but killing off mid lane is going to be very difficult. In fact, the Silencer's the one that's wrapped on harder. Resolution will be silenced. Will one more glaive be available? Looking for the vision on the Resolution. Blinks away in the nick of time. Grazine dives the tower and dies to said tower, as they'll be able to get a kill on the enemy mid laner. Salve is going to be used by Always Wanna Fly. They didn't hold control, and that change, although for the next couple of days is going to be really annoying, hopefully will be fixed, or teams will get more used to it. That's going to hurt the mid lane a little bit, and he'll have to wait until his bottle comes out before he can post up in lane again, but now that his bottle is here, Resolution will be just fine.
Yeah, we already see the effects of the new patch, but Silencer, he got Grazine. He's trying to go for some harass again. We saw him get very unlucky, just that the silence came off cooldown, and he just couldn't find Resolution using that nice little tree to hide. But such is life. In the meantime, up in top lane, Spectre, she definitely, they've put some harass out onto her. Night Stalker's farming very well, but Spectre's not being maybe as harassed as I would expect a Liquid Fire.
Yeah, and maybe not as harassed as the Anti-Mage either. The Spectre is getting a little bit more space. Queen of Pain again going to be last warded, and it looks like this time it's going to send Resolution all the way back to base. Had that salve been applied, or, well, speaking of salves, he has his bottle coming out to himself on the courier, so he'll be able to stick around more, but had that salve stuck on towards him, it would have helped a whole lot in keeping him inside this lane. So Silencer will start getting a little bit of an edge when it comes to CS in the next upcoming seconds, but Dazzle's going to die to the Ogre. How did Phonic have mana to use his spells? It's max Bloodlust build coming out for the Ogre Magi. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't like it, but since he hardly has any mana to begin with, that's probably the most efficient use of it, and it's going to be an absurd amount of attack speed for the team.
Yeah, because Dazzle, I think, was planning on roaming or has been trying to harass Phonic here. No points in Shallow Grave, so just going down there, and this Ignite, as you said, max Bloodlust, max Ignite, gonna do a lot of harassment, and no Shallow Grave, Dazzle will just fall. This stuff going on in mid, though, was what I was talking about. This Lost Word, a really good harass, and now, again, Phonic, very low on bottle charges.
Resolution is going to find it difficult to stick into this lane convincingly, but yeah, they are going to look for the dive onto Wicked Sick. They should be able to get this Woodchopper very easily. They'll throw the Poison Touch towards an Ancient Apparition Illusion, so that'll secure Spectre's retreat as she backs off towards her tower. Spectral Dagger through the trees and back into the trees. FN should be just fine, although for now is a bit on the stuck side.
Yeah, I didn't realize they've eaten through the trees over there. Oh, here comes Queen of Pain, though, and now there's the Ancient Apparition. Queen of Pain actually taking a lot of damage. She might go down just from that burn. At the same time, he's most likely going to full global use to ensure that, and Queen of Pain dies as well. I was a little bit surprised that she went in there into such a bad engagement, I guess thinking that she could do more, but no Sonic Wave yet.
Yeah, a very uncharacteristic performance coming out from the Queen of Pain. It feels like she's trying to do too much with too little. Although the Silencer dives mid and does end up going down, Grazine has maintained control over this lane, and at this point the Queen of Pain's at a significant disadvantage. First Global will make sure that they're able to secure all of those kills. Poison Touch on the Queen of Pain, I believe, is what ticked her over the edge, and wasn't able to find a neutral deny. There wasn't really anything close by. 3-2 is going to be our kill score.
Yes, excellent. So, in the meantime, though, this is really going to help out the anti-mage because nobody was down. Well, Funny, I guess just having less ability to harass. I'm surprised anti-mage is back up on the kill chart like that. But Night Stalker, I didn't think he would be so successful.
Yeah, Ogre Magi now going to pick up an Orb of Venom. Funnick will maintain his dominance when it comes to trading hits against the anti-mage, and with no mana. The mana burn damage means that Anti-Mage is hardly doing anything to this Ogre. He needs some extra help, and the Queen of Pain has made her way down towards bottom. Has an Invis, but still not access to that level 6. 7 points of experience, so Resolution has that ultimate up and running. If they had it, maybe they're able to kill off the Anti-Mage there.
Yeah, I think she was hoping for a bounty rune to get it. Not quite sure. Oh, and she's going to be silenced again.
Yeah,
and now... Oh, we have TPs up top. We have a deep dive. They're going to manage to pick off Jakiro because of this dive, and now they have 3 up there. Again, Quop coming up. I don't think she's level 6. She might have just gotten... Yeah, she just hit level 6, but there's the Shallow Grave TP out. And even if he did have the Sonic Wave, which Resolution was low on the mana for, not enough against that Shallow Grave.
Yeah, the only ways in this top lane to cancel TPs, you have Witch Doctor's Cask, that's it. And even if Ogre Magi had a TP, Funnick's sitting on absolutely no mana when he's down here. So until he has a Soul Ring, can't go for any sort of backup plays for the rest of his team. They'll tie up the kill score 3-3, but across the board, we're seeing a CS advantage being gained by the Radiant side. Team Yugoslavia are getting a little bit more farm than I am, and then the Spectre's getting up towards top. Now Blink down onto Funnick. The Dual Breath's going to connect. He's starting to take a little bit of damage, but is it going to be enough? This is a hard dive, but with the Mana Void, probably possible. They need one more auto attack. They'll munch through one of the trees, juking around. Funnick will not be able to juke out the Blink, and one more auto attack, and Cole will find himself a kill on the very pesky Ogre Magi.
Funnick also went Tranquil. He has 17 I don't... It's comical. It's working out how they wanted it to, right? He's basically tankier than this Night Stalker. I have not seen anything like it.
Yeah, the Ogre is absolutely immovable, but what does he do with this advantage when it comes to his levels? Since he has gone for the max Bloodlust build, and with no points in his ultimate, his ability to look for rotations and look for kills across the map is a little bit slowed down, so I think he's probably going to be forced to either stick in the bottom lane, which it looks like it is the course of action for him, or just play a more defensive role. Funnick's ability to play aggressively is a little bit mitigated. He's going to burn all of his mana available to try to put some damage onto Mitch. Chilling touches there. Can they catch up? They're slowed down by the Dual Breath, but now an Icy Vortex, and Mitch is going to take a lot of damage from these right clicks. Chasing around the corner, another Ignite, and a couple more shots. They'll be able to get that kill, but now Always Wanna Fly is in a lot of trouble, taking down to Liquid Fire. They just need a little bit more vision. They have a Mana Void that would kill him off, but Dazzle will secure the kill onto the Ancient Apparition with a couple of right clicks. Funnick around the corner is incredibly tanky. Killing him off is difficult, and they might lose Victor in the process here if the Dazzle's not careful. They should have a Shallow Grave at this point, but they might be forced to use it. Funnick will beat down the poor Dazzle. Shallow Grave comes out. Sonic Wave over the top. Resolution's going to slow down Cole. Victor should end up dying to Resolution as he jukes through the trees. One Scream is all that he needs. Sonic Wave already having been spent. The Anti-Mage will be able to blink under his tower and will survive.
Yeah, but I don't think that was very worth it for this team of Ukraine. Anti-Mage got, yeah, he'll be forced home, but he got 2 kills there. He got another kill there, and just having all that involvement really boosting up his farm. So, although Quop did finally get involved, that's something.
And Grazine is being completely left alone inside the mid lane. The Silencer's getting a lot of farm, and up towards top, Event's just not able to get that much farm because the Night Stalker and Jakiro do just this. They're going to look for another dive, but now Ogre comes in, slows down Lacoste. They have a Global Silence to cover them. FN can't get out of here alive. The Dual Breath will be applied. Lacoste probably going down for that kill on the Spectre, but completely worth it. Now Wicked Sick in the Macro Pyre, going to be ticked down to very low amounts of HP. Mitch is going for it. Liquid Fire probably needs another auto attack, although the Liquid Fire is going to be close. Stick Charges should be able to keep the Witch Doctor alive. Funnick going to be slowed down, not going to die. Kira TPM from the Queen of Pain. She wants to reinforce the rest of her team. Bloodlust on the Queen of Pain. Blink, Scream. Mitch is dropping very low. The extra attack speed helping him bring down these targets. Victor will stop his own TP, trying for the Shallow Grave, but casts it on himself, and Victor himself will go down too. Invis Grazine's right around the corner, looking to snipe one of these kills on the retreat, and a very easy kill on Wicked Sick it is. One last word, one auto attack, two auto attacks is all that he really needs, and now straight TP. Funnick has the Fire Blast, can he get in range fast enough? No. And Funnick will not be able to punish that move coming out from the Silencer. The kill score is 8-8, a lot of aggression coming out around the map, and now Spectre will finally get some peace and quiet in mid lane.
Yeah, definitely a better exchange. Oh, there's a Spectre ult coming out. I'm not quite sure who she was targeting. It looks like it was top Lacoste. Yeah, he's going down. Queen of Pain coming back up top for a second just to get that last kill. I was a little bit surprised. Oh no, I was going to say, I think that team fight ended up working out a little bit better for Team Ukraine. So... but at the same time, as you said, Silence is just left alone. He's maybe getting a Midas. I like this pickup because Silence has a lot of trouble farming. No wave clear or anything.
Still, Resolution's picked up a lot of momentum being involved in 5 kills for the team and only dying once. Although it was a bit of a slow start for the Queen of Pain, is now higher net worth than that of the Silencer, and Resolution's ability to immediately have an impact is a little bit greater. The lockdown coming out from the Radiant team probably isn't enough unless they commit a global silence, or it's nighttime and they get the crippling fear onto Resolution, both of which aren't 100% reliable. Or when it comes to the cooldowns that are available, and if it's nighttime. For now, nighttime is going to be coming up shortly, and a fight up top's a brewing.
Yeah, and we have an A blast coming out, and the Death Wall. That is a very dead Mitch. Is this going to just save him for long enough to get off that macro pyre? But now they're going back on the supports in the back line. They do have some support coming out. There's a global silence. Night Stalker's trying to do Night Stalker. He thinks he can almost catch up to FN, but I think he might dive too deeply here. Now Ogre Magi getting ready to go again on their backlines. Queen of Pain screaming Sonic Wave from the backlines with Silencer. May be able to kill off Funnick, but he's taking barely any damage. Night Stalker now in a bit of trouble. He's going to take quite a lot of damage from that screen. Here comes AM though. He needs like 3 more auto attacks, but he gets multicast. Quap linking forward to pick off the Night Stalker, but Ogre Magi does finally fall to Cole, and he's just gonna blink out. So another somehow 2 for 2. And surprisingly even, I think there was actually, yeah, the Jakiro also died. So 2 for 3, Jakiro also died, but wow, both of these teams just ready to team fight all the time. We're at 2 kills a minute almost.
For sure, Spectre, although she does die early on inside that fight and doesn't get that much gold, for the team that's probably worth it for Ukraine. Spectre has more than enough time inside this game to catch up, and as long as she's involved every time she has her ultimate, can always get back into this game, although maybe at a slower rate than that of the Anti-Mage. The AM is going to be getting very close to having his Battle Fury, and they're going to dive again onto FN, slowed down under his tower, blown apart. Silencer will get that kill. Ice Blast is going to fly through, does apply the effect to Victor, but not going to be able to get that, and maybe it's going to take a little bit longer for the Spectre to come back in this game than I thought. They're not giving her any room.
Yeah, she's got very little farm. The other thing to mention, Spectre versus Anti-Mage. Spectre, of course, can go much later just because of her skills, and Anti-Mage is well known for he can get 6 slotted very early on, but maybe not the hottest, in quotes, carry in the game. You know, if we go to like 2 hours, he's not the hottest carry. But at the same time, once he gets at that Battle Fury, he'll be 6 slotted way before her and can just jump on her Monta and blow him up. So a little bit worried about Spectre. Of course, they just need a few good team fights to make space for her, since she can haunt in. And they're going again on Always Want to Fly up in top lane. He's going to go down. The Lost Word going to secure that kill. Grizzin up to 6 in. Ogre Magi's coming out. I don't know if the rest of his team. Cop will be able to blink forward. There's a multicast that he needed. Where is the Sonic Wave? There's the blink forward. Actually getting stunned up by the Ice Pulp. And now Resolution is silenced. Doesn't even have the Sonic Wave, but here comes the Death Ward. That's going to kill off Lacoste. That's going to kill off Mitch, and the Silencer on Grizzin already went down. So very effective turnaround despite the global.
Yeah, they dove so deep for that Ancient Apparition kill, and although getting the Ancient Apparition kill is nice and all for their team, it's not worth how much they commit for it. The Queen of Pain's going to blink into trees, but we'll be able to get out of there shortly. And now has the Yule Scepter. Resolution's going to be much harder to bring down inside these engagements. Sonic Wave and the Ice Blast to jam the kill home. Ancient Apparition will get the kill onto Victor pretty cleanly. They do lose 4 heroes across the map. That's really bad for Team Yugoslavia, don't get me wrong, but Anti-Mage has his Battle Fury up and running. It's the top net worth inside this game, and I don't think they really have the appropriate heroes to stop this Anti-Mage from farming.
Yeah, it's also, I mean, an AA is good, can kind of scout a little bit. We already talked about Haunt's utility, but you have to find the Anti-Mage and then have a Sonic Wave and an AA Blast, and because Ogre Magi, as you said, maxing Fire Blast, it seems difficult. So, and do they even have the totaling abilities or anything to handle the split push that comes out of an AM as well? It doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, it really doesn't, but the Queen of Pain's still in a pretty good spot, and Funnick is getting a lot of experience on this Ogre. Level 10 at this point for an offlaner is absolutely stellar, and he's going to have the level 2 ultimate up and running soon. The average damage coming out from him is going to be pretty absurd. Blink away by resolution down towards bottom, he's going to be just fine. No way for the anti-mage to kill off the Queen, or even apply much pressure at all, but he's just going to go back on his merry way. Cole, although he doesn't have the Vladimir's offering yet, still has a lot of HP sustained with the casual ring of regen towards that Vlad, so he'll be picking up in just a couple minutes here, maybe even shorter than that. The farming speed of Sam is absolutely absurd. And with that Midas up and running on the silencer, I feel that Team Yugoslavia are going to be very comfortable taking this late, since the situation of the Spectre is not the greatest.
In mid, kind of just doing a lot of damage to resolution. There's the other thing to mention, which is that Mitch will make it easier to siege towers, so split pushing more effective, because anti-mage, of course, can just push one lane all on his own, and then if you have someone like Mitch on that Jakiro, you just need to make sure he can put on that liquid fire every 8 seconds, or whatever the, sorry, down to 4 seconds. So yeah, anti-mage just living in bottom lane. That's what he's gonna do.
And they'll continue to do just that. As far as the item progression for both sides is concerned, outside that Yule's, not much has been picked up by the Dire side. We have a Medallion up for the Sports and a Blade Mail up for Funnick, and on the enemy side, looks like Blade Mail is going to be the item of choice for Lacoste too. So that's pretty much the snapshot of where we are, and Silencer is going to be working towards that Atos, although it is going to be a pretty late one, since he did back off for the Midas first.
Yeah, I always have really mixed feelings about Atos, but it got buffed 2 patches ago, I think, where it gives plus 30 int instead of 25, and it really is just the cheapest way to get so much int. At the same time, you know, against a Spectre, against a Quap, I wonder how effective the slow will be.
Yeah, I'm not sure the slow is going to be that good for Grazine, but still the raw stats and the efficiency of the item in general makes it attractive for him to pick up. I'm a little bit surprised he doesn't go for something like a Force Staff or a mobility item before the Atos, and that is definitely punishable by the enemy team, but if it goes unpunished, just having that in your inventory is much better than those other items. Smoke down towards bottom. Resolution, Funnick, Wicked Sick are all going to be grouped up looking for this anti-mage kill. They have a cast, they have the stun, they have an Ice Blast flying forwards. Cole is going to be attacked by it. They're going to go under the tower, blink into the trees, however, and Cole should be just fine. They don't have the greatest gap closer. Maybe a blink on Funnick would have allowed that kill to happen a little bit more effectively than Blade Mail, but still Funnick is an absolute menace. He can just run headlong the enemy team with not much fear for his own life. Right now he's not going to do so. They don't have vision of where the Silencer and where the Dazzle are, but still they're going to turn this into a tier 1 tower push mid.
Yeah, and now Queen of... Oh, we've got Initiation, Nightstalker opening up, and there's the Global Silence. He's gonna immediately kill off Wicked Sick, and now Resolution in a bit of trouble, but does manage to get the blink out. So a couple big ultis used and only getting the Witch Doctor, but we've seen how potent that Death Ward is, so perhaps this will allow them to push. Or maybe they just wanted a quick kill, right? Silencer seems to be interested in going right back to farming.
Yeah, as he probably should be. The Ancients are going to be stacked up by the Dazzle. That should be a 5 stack of Ancients after this stack succeeds. Oop, they'll look at the Soul into Resolution. The Blink up by the Queen of Pain should be a pretty reliable way to get out of here, although Resolution's going to be a little bit banged up. We'll be able to survive. Had the Yules, had the Wand charges, and as a bottle to really no threat of him falling. Looks like that stack didn't actually succeed, but Dazzle is going to start softening this up. The Anti-Mage is going to really enjoy having that extra bit of gold in his pockets, and the gold is going to start piling up in a big way. Almost 10,000 net worth in this AM is Vladimir's offerings flying out in the career.
Yeah, another interesting thing to point out, we've got a Blade Mail up on Ogre Magi. I don't know if you already touched on this, but not only giving him more armor, because that's exactly what Funnick needed, it is going to help a little bit against folks like the Anti-Mage. That damage returned is pure, so going to be at least something to help against the targeting of the Anti-Mage. And Spectre's rushing Radiance. I know there was a reduction in recipe cost, but considering how much she's been killed, a little surprising.
She's getting away with it, though. Since her last death, she was sitting on like 500 gold. Once that happened, she just recently picked up the urn before that death. She hasn't died since. So I think FN's going to be able to get away with it. The hard part's almost over, but oh, blink in by Cole. They'll be able to initiate into this Anti-Mage for a free Sonic Wave. Nothing is going to be held as they'll kill off the enemy safe lane farmer. Spectre will drop her ultimate, doing a good amount of damage now, joining the fray onto Victor. TP attempt by the Dazzle should succeed. No, the Yule Scepter is off the cooldown from the Queen of Pain. They'll be able to cancel it now to blink forward onto Lacoste. The Blade Mail's returning some damage to the Queen of Pain, and they do need to respect the Night Stalker, but they have more than enough with the heroes that are there. 3 kills, and most importantly, killing off the anti-mage means that Ukraine are now getting a big leap in power. The relic is picked up by the Spectre, and everything seems to be swinging back in their favor, although the advantage is still held by the Radiant team.
Yeah, and that was just really great timing on that gank. Silence's ultimate was still on cooldown for about 20 seconds at the beginning of that. So I think the team not feeling like they could engage successfully, of course, with no global. So a little bit unfortunate, or very well played, on the other hand, by Team Ukraine, who probably did take that time. They'll get a casual ice path, but not going to stop this push. So mid tower, and as you mentioned, Spectre, yes, she picked up the relic in that team fight, and now she's going to have a very fast Radiance, all things considered, getting right back up in that net worth. This does make the game harder for Anti-Mage, but mainly for the supports.
Yeah, it's not fast relative to the game. The Anti-Mage is still incredibly out-farming the Spectre, and the Relic, or the Radiance, is not going to change that too much, although it will increase her farming rate. It's still good compared to her start. FN started this out 1-3, and that's really not a situation where Spectres want to be in by any point in the game, really. Group up coming out from 4 heroes coming out from Team Yugoslavia. They'll drop a sentry to ensure that they haven't been spotted, and now we're going to go for a smoke. They want to kill this Spec. They expect the Spectre not to have the relic. It's been sitting on the courier, and I'm not sure if it's flown inside enemy vision for a while. So FN is a very juicy target for them to go on, but even if they do kill her, it's not the end of the world, although she really would like to have that completed Radiance in just a bit.
Yeah, and she is playing way back. She feels that something weird is up. You can tell only AM on the map under their ward vision, and they're going to actually run into 3, so this is going to be a 4v3. They have the immediate nighttime, and there's the global silence finally coming out, and yeah, Funix Blade Mail returning barely anything. Spectre actually just still FN farming, knowing that she's a little bit safe, and it's going to be at least a kill, more int for Silencer, but not the kill they wanted.
Yeah, the Radiance is done. The Global is going to be spent for it too. It's nice and all for their team, don't get me wrong. It's int for the Silencer. It's good pickoff for their side, but the Spectre is not going to be shut down by it. Could have been worse for Team Ukraine.
Yeah, maybe gonna run into Always Wanna Fly, so gonna lose him as well. Ice Pulp, of course, landing off that use. Spectre actually coming in with that Radiant Taunt, and there's the Deathwood. Always Wanna Fly does go down, but nobody seems to know where Wicked Sick is. Everybody dying, both Mitch and Dazzle going down eventually, and this is another thing, I like the Yules for the setup for Jakiro, but I also would have liked to see Silencer go another item like that. They aren't stopping this Death Ward.
Yeah, they spent most of their large disables. The best way to cancel that Death Ward obviously would be the Global Silence, being able to cancel it from anywhere on the map, and very reliably too. They'd already spent that, however. Cole going to TP away, smelling something's up, but looks like they're going for Roshan instead of that anti-mage kill. They have the Medallion, although has been reduced since effectiveness against Roshan is still a worthy pickup and can take down this Rosh reasonably fast, and I don't think the Radiant team have any idea. If we take a look at their vision, it's mostly catered towards going for aggressive moves inside their jungle. They don't have a clue, and this is going to be a second life with the Dire team.
And it looks like Quap edging for that. Also, who needs minus armor on Roche when you have Ogre Magi with 21 armor to tank it? We're again just seeing this build where he is taking a lot of their time to be killed, actually making more space for folks like the Spectre or for the Witch Doctor to just channel that Death Ward. We've seen a couple of team fights where they're spending a lot of time killing Funnick, and then the Death Ward gets an entire channel. Again, though, an aggressive movement into this dire jungle. We'll see if Anti-Mage he's just gonna push, I guess, maybe trying to trade. So, but in mid, a very dead Jakiro, taking an Ice Blast to the face.
No, not really much needed from the Queen of Pain there in order to secure that kill. Now they're going to bump to the Anti-Mage. He walks past their ward vision. Cole, however, does have backup. The Night Stalker's around the corner, and I don't think they're going to be able to kill him, but maybe this Night Stalker. Victor's stalking him with the Invis rune, but now Anti-Mage is left alone. They know that the Night Stalker's gone away, but Anti-Mage will be able to blink out home. And for now, things are going to take a bit of a slower pace. The Radiant team are going to try to make these rotations, but mostly unsuccessfully, it seems.
Yeah, we're gonna get into this weird race against time because, of course, the Radiant team does want to push a bit faster, but they're also running an AM, so he is gonna be very close to that Monta, though, about 800 gold away. So that will really increase his team fight. And Spectre, what do we think Spectre should pick up next? Maybe, I mean, she's very rich. Is she just going to pick up a part of the heart?
I'd like to see Tread's Manta for it, but Casual Vitality Booster is also reasonable. Just anything to tank her up substantially. I personally like the Manta as the next major pickup, and maybe just keep the Vitality Booster as a casual item in your inventory until after that pickup to make sure that you're able to get into the engagement even if a Global Silence is there. But Spectre just wants to make sure that she's safe as she's farming up, and when you are a Spectre, anything that adds extra HP to your pool is more damage that you can reflect inside these team fights. So, yeah, to each his own. FN will probably be getting all of those items further down the line.
Yeah, definitely something where Spectre, once she has the Radiance form super accelerated. So we will see. Queen of Pain also has that Aghanims up. We often see Orchid, but of course this game not as useful. I wonder whether this is a Lincoln Sphere or just a casual Sheepstick. Yeah, I imagine it's the Hex. That helps a lot with the Anti-Mage, but I could see her maybe... yeah, I guess there are a couple things which get rid of the Lincolns here.
I don't think the Lincolns is that great this game. The Yule Scepter functions better as defensive utility this game, since the majority of the lockdown coming out from the Radiant side is silences. Although Resolution isn't going to have 2 purges coming out from that, I think the Hex does outclass Lincolns by quite a large factor. The other option, I'd say Scotty, is also reasonable, but they find themselves Grazine up in the top lane. Do they have a way to cancel his TP? Yule Scepter is in range, although only just they'll be able to catch this Silencer. Even though he commits the Global Silence, that's probably a bit of a waste. There was no backup to try and save him.
Yeah, I think after your TP is already used, committing the global, as you said, he's not getting out anyway. He did pick up a blink, though, and I do like this on Silencer. It helps him get in closer, make sure he can get those in. He can initiate the fights, at least getting a silence in someone. In the meantime, looking like this top tower is going to push no contest, and Queen of Pain actually going on Night Stalker, getting silenced up by Night Stalker. There's an Ice Pulse, going to manage to hit the Spectre at the very least. So Lacoste maybe has a way out, has popped his Blade Mail, is stunned up by that Fire Blast. He's taking a lot of dot damage. He's going to, the Sonic Wave actually just hitting the supports. Maybe that was the plan all along, a beautiful Macro Pyre Ice Pulse combo, but now taking a lot of return damage. The Blade Mail is killing Mitch, and Night Stalker does end up going down. There's an A Blast, so Dazzle needs to be careful too. Anti-Mage is in the fray though. He's trying to pick up someone wicked sick, taking a lot of damage. Anti-Mage already used that Mana Void, not on the Quap by the looks of it. He pops that Manta. Funnick finally gonna go down. Maybe the Quap as well. She has no more mana. Where is Anti-Mage? He backed out.
I think that's fine. Resolution has an Aegis, and even if he's able to kill off the Queen of Pain, killing her off the second time is probably impossible, and killing off the first time is unreliable without the Mana Void. It's safer for the Anti-Mage to make that jump, and he'd be a lot happier just farming. As far as the gold trade across the board is concerned, favors the Dire team. They lose Funnick, but they do get 2 in return.
Yeah. Another interesting thing to point out about Team Ukraine, Witch Doctor doing my favorite build of all, it's the Rush Aghanim Scepter. The Witch Doctor ulti was changed a little bit last patch. More damage, but you don't get free bounces at level 3, so getting that Ags up, lickety-split, will mean many, many bounces.
Yeah, a lot of DPS in the upcoming fights. The AoE disable coming out from the Dire team is almost non-existent, so holding them in place for that Death Ward might prove to be a bit difficult, but inside these fights, both the Anti-Mage and the Night Stalker are going to have to commit very close to whoever they're going on, and if you can catch a good Paralyzing Cast, that could be a one team fight for your team just outright. Basher is done by the Anti-Mage, however, so his items are still flowing.
Yeah, Wicked Six been doing an excellent job of making sure to use this Death Ward after the Global Silence, and usually hiding somewhere in the trees. Maybe Anti-Mage with that Basher will get lucky, but still is yet to be seen. And there is a Spectre ultimate. I don't know quite who is the target. It looks like they're going on the Silencer. Gonna have that Cold Feet applied, is being slowed, but the Cold Feet are off. There's the Sonic Wave, but AM in the meantime picking up Always Wanna Fly, and Silencer managing to pop that Global. Maybe they can do something about Quap, but as you pointed out, still has that Age and a Haste. No Aegis actually now, that's expired. Ogre Magi though, way out of position. Ice Pulse flashes. Doesn't matter if there's a Blade Mail, they will kill you off Funnick. Getting the bashes that he needs on Cole. Having his illusions farm while he's killing people.
A close call onto the Silencer. It felt like they were unsure about whether or not they could get that kill, and the answer was no, they just didn't have the appropriate damage, and immediately after the fact, a smoke up coming out from the Radiant side, as it looks like Team Yugoslavia want to start picking up some momentum for themselves. They have Yule Scepter on Jakiro, but they'll probably open up with the Night Stalker's Silence, looking for Wicked Sick around the corner. Now spotted out, the Crippling Fear is there, the Void to follow up, Ice Path will connect, and with a Bash for good measure, Anti-Mage will find himself a killing spree. And just like that, although it looked like things would go back into Team Ukraine's favor, Team Yugoslavia now are back in the driver's seat. A lot of that comes down to it being nighttime for Lacoste. Makes it a lot easier for them to take these fights.
Yeah, I'm really surprised by how constantly close this game is. It makes a lot of sense since they both have very hard carries, but was kind of expecting the Spectre to pull ahead. But Team Yugoslavia showing that they still have quite a bit of fight left in them. And yeah, it's going to be that.
Yeah, the spec is sitting on a large lump sum of gold, and a lot of her money isn't being invested into items, whereas Anti-Mage has things that are going to allow him to fight now, and even though Spectre is potentially a little bit better at contributing early on, they didn't activate the Spectre as quickly as maybe they would have liked to, and Cole was completely untouched. Anti-Mage in the Spectre versus AM matchup right now has a pretty big lead over his enemy, but big item pickups for the Dire side could swing the team fights in their favor. Scythe Device done for resolution, and the Aghanim Scepter you're talking about on the Witch Doctor is complete.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see this just because who doesn't love the Witch Doctor song? The other thing is Spectre is rushing that, oh, not rushing, she's going hot next item. I wonder whether just continually trying to go for these big items maybe will hurt her. I mean, of course, when she gets it, it'll be great, but oh, there is a Spectre ultimate coming out. I'm not quite sure if that was for the anti-mage who took a lot of damage. There's also action in mid. Maybe trying to kill off Mitch who got ice blasted, but he's not going to tick down to death, so.
Yeah. Nobody will end up going down. Both Victor and Mitch are going to survive, as will the anti-mage. That was mostly a vision ulti, but up towards top, Vonic gonna take a lot of damage from the Grazine. They'll bring in Cole. The anti-mage has no mana void available, but they still should be down Vonic, especially with the bash. And now dominating spree for the anti-mage. Spectre Haunt on cooldown means it's a lot harder for the Dire team to take these engagements, and now a pretty big window. Maybe they can even take a tier 2 in this. The lanes aren't pushing out greatly in their favor, but still Anti-Mage will be more than comfortable with just farm. Wins the point that they start trying to take towers with the items that are being picked up by Cole.
Yeah, I've actually been a little surprised they haven't pushed already, but it is really hard, as you mentioned, against that Spectre Haunt. You don't know when it's going to come out. All these AA blasts also wiping your creep waves out. These heroes taking a lot of damage. There's actually a blink in, Sonic Wave killing off Mitch, and it's now hard to push again, because Jakiro doing, of course Anti-Mage can siege the tower, but Liquid Fire helping a lot.
It mitigates the effect of having that Bloodlust on the towers, even though the Ogre was down for a little while longer yet. Nothing's going to happen after those pickoffs when it comes to taking objectives. The Roshan is up, but neither team should feel comfortable enough to take that now, and if either team does go for it, probably would be the Dire. Although Jakiro is a great asset to have inside that Roshan pit, I'm not sure if that pickoff is enough for them to go into this. Global Silence is still available.
Yeah, both of these teams have really good Roche Pit team fight, I feel, and it's kind of going to be probably a case of whoever's in the pit will be the one to suffer, but with Jakira only coming back online now and Spectre hitting like a truck, maybe going to be hard to contest this. They're headed towards it, so I do think we'll see an engagement. Maybe they'll smoke in. No, they're just bombing. I feel like they do know on this Radiant side, but maybe not doing anything about it. Dazzle going to throw out the weave, only hitting 2, doesn't actually hit it into the Roche pit, and Roshan is going to go down. Maybe they'll kill Always Wanna Fly, but I don't know, and Guzine does take the effects of the AA blast, so if somebody decides to come up there, there's a Sonic Wave, Queen of Pain picking off Guzine and the Dazzle, and now Anti-Mage has to deal with the Spectre Haunt. There's a Global Silence, there's a buyback from Silencer. I don't know if AM can do anything. He's actually blinking back, he's going in on Spectre. Of course, she does have that Aegis, so even if she goes down here, at least it'll be a quick usage of that Aegis. She has no more money, getting bashed, of course she does. AM on fire with these bashes. Ogre Magi now, though, killing off Jakiro with that Blade Mail, just walking through the Macro Pyre, and Grizzy, it looks like this is going to be a dieback. AM coming in to try and help out. They do actually manage to kill off Queen of Pain, so getting some nice in on him on Silencer, but gonna have to back out on that Cole, and just another good team fight for this Dire side. They won that one very convincingly.
They do lose to Queen of Pain. Ancient Apparition Aegis to do so, but the dieback on Silencer means so much when it comes to stopping his item progression. The swing in their favor is going to be about 3,000 gold. Still, the Anti-Mage gets a net gain across that engagement. Anti-Mage is absolutely stacked. He has a full BKB now flying out towards him. This is Anti-Mage's peak time, pretty much. Of course, he can replace the Vlads with something like a Butterfly or whatever item Anti-Mage wants to go for and then get a Moon Shard, but for all intents and purposes, Anti-Mage is getting to the point where he's about his scariest relative to the enemy team. Probably once he has his Abyssal is the last major leap in power relative to the Spectre. Spectre still has many item slots to go, and is still able to fight reasonably well. This is starting to get a little bit scary for Team Yugoslavia, as Ukraine are now taking a little bit more command across the map. I think they've sat on this anti-mage maybe a bit too long, but the anti-mage at this point is probably the only way that they're going to be able to scale through this game. Super late game. Maybe Silencer can do it, but not unless we see this game go 80 minutes.
Yeah, definitely a little concerned about that. Perhaps time for Anti-Mage to engage in some more of those wave cutting pushing while his team is trying to do other things. I'm not sure. So, let's see if there's any other big item pickups to that. Sheepstick is finished. I didn't see how much it was used last fight just because it was such a hectic fight. But we have a casual Macropyre in mid lane, and now going to be hurting off the Jakiro, taking a lot of damage because of that Blade Mail. Funnick, yeah, Mitch picking up on it is like, Funnick, please. So.
Yeah. Well, Macropyre is one of those spells that you can throw out very liberally. A low cooldown ultimate, and probably won't be necessary in the next 40 seconds, so just a little bit of humor added in there, as both of the teams are going to back up and farm up on their carries. I think this is favoring the side of Ukraine a little bit more. FN, sitting on 2,000 gold inside the bank, is going to be getting a lot of big-ticket items and the next upcoming minutes inside this game. Neither team will feel comfortable enough to go for anything unless they're smoked up or know for sure that somebody's alone. That is reliant on ward vision and the smoke cooldowns. Right now, 4 heroes right behind the Spectre. This is a pretty obvious play. They should expect Spectre to have backup here, so they're not going to jump, but they might get jumped under their tower. Blink hacks onto Victor, Fire Blast multicast will secure Funnick the killing spree, and right after the fact, going for the tier 2 tower with Anti-Mage nowhere close to a tier 2 in the other lanes. It looks like they'll be able to get this one without suffering any damage on their structures. Maybe a little bit in bottom, the lane is pushing.
Yeah, so really unfortunate. Nothing they can really do about this. Another Macropyre just gonna come out trying to make sure the creeps don't push. But Queen of Pain coming in, using up. There's the global silence. Resolution gonna be silenced actually for ages because the lost word, and they're blowing her up. And now working on Funnick, he's probably gonna go down as well. Nice in for silencer, but there was an A blast that surprisingly hit most of them. Blinking forwards, can he get the bash on Wicked Sick? Does end up making it work. Wicked Sick probably gonna fall to the AM here too. And Spectre somehow not doing any damage. Anti-Mage has to be careful, does have that AA debuff, but blinks forward, gets a bash on Spectre as well because he is the bash lord, taking a lot of return damage. Now AM, we have a DC. That's really unfortunate. Looks like we're unpausing. Funnick is like, whatever, he's dead. It looks like Anti-Mage gonna take a lot of damage. Spectre, they're gonna fall to Silencer, and Grizzing gets a rampage.
Great turnaround coming out from the Radiant side. I thought it could have gone very poorly for them since they used the global not to cancel the Witch Doctor's channeling. But with the bash coming out from the Anti-Mage and with a beautiful combination coming out from the Jakiro, catching them out as they clump up onto the high ground, that'll be extremely detrimental. Oh my goodness. Alright, so right now, we have a bit of a situation. Always Want to Fly is abandoned. And there's no way to get back in this game, and there's no way to remake the game.
Okay. I don't know if that was just it ending.
No, that is not GG called out by any means. That's Ancient Apparition suffering to reborn things. It looks like they're going after Microme. There's no other way about this, but still that last fight for the side of Yugoslavia. A rampage for the Silencer, no less. 10 ints stolen there, and just in general, really well executed by them. They were picking off heroes left, right, and center. There wasn't any situation where the Spectre was able to get most of her damage off. We saw how powerful the dispersion can be when you have the heart, but she just wasn't mobile enough. She doesn't have a great ability to get on top of these targets. Now, tier 2s are going to start falling in their favor. But now, everybody is back up and running for Team Ukraine. They do have a great shot at taking out these team fights, and I suppose if there is ever one hero that you can micro from the base, it's Ancient Apparition with Aghanim Scepter. All you really have to do is drop the ultimates, and he'll still have an impact inside the fights.
Yeah, really unfortunate that he was, can you allocate skills on an abandoned teammate? Skill points?
Yes.
Okay.
You can't buy items though, but in all honesty, you don't need items, but in mid lane, they'll definitely need their Spectre. She's going to be jumped and goes down with no buyback available. It'll cost them a global and a BKB, but they get the blink forward onto the Queen of Pain as well. Bashed up, Resolution is going to be able to get the blink out because of the Glimmer Cape applied by her teammates. Sonic Wave's pretty good, but with a Mana Void, they'll blow her up, and now Funnick is isolated without any team available. There's the Witch Doctor ultimate looking for the bash. They'll have it. The Ice Blast will fly forwards. Is that going to be lethal onto Grazine, I wonder? It looks like It probably will be, although Shallow Grave is available. They'll Glimmer Cape him up, the damage won't be there. Grazine will survive. An absolute disaster for the dire side, as it looks like Ukraine have lost this game. 47 seconds with no Spectre. This is probably one, if not two, lanes of Barracks. Silencer is going to end up dying. I thought he'd be able to survive through all of that.
Shallow Grave isn't long enough with Ags.
I thought with the Glimmer, they'd be able to do it, but regardless.
Yeah, he was... Oh, anyway, we've got an engagement. Funnick being ice polished up, and they're also gonna just pick up A, don't even bothering to properly finish the kill, getting the bashes on Funnick. He's going down. We're gonna be seeing at least a Rax gone. Spectre's dead for 21 more seconds. They don't have a good way to defend without her. Queen of Pain does buy back, has that Sonic Wave, of course, because of the Aghanim Scepter, but against these 4 heroes, I don't know if that's enough, and Resolution looking for a good place to Sonic Wave in.
Yeah. It really feels like there's just not enough left in the tank. 5 seconds down. The Spectre and the Witch Doctor are going to come up. This is their time to fight. There is no Ancient Apparition. There is no Ogre TP. And it's going to be right into an Ice Path. Right into the bashes from the Anti-Mage. She's not returning enough damage. Blink and Scream is there. Hex onto Cole. The Anti-Mage is under a lot of duress here. They don't have a Sonic Wave for 30 seconds there. And Resolution's going to get bashed. Glimmer Cape, Yule Scepter will try to buy him some space. But he's Ice Path down. Do they have detection? No. Resolution will blink out. The Witch Doctor ultimate's going to bounce forward as a blink from the Anti-Mage will get him close to the Queen of Pain, but not quite close enough. Looks like they are going to be repelled for now. 60 seconds. The Spectre cannot join the fight, but the Anti-Mage is a little too low. Queen of Pain is going to kill off the Jakiro left inside the base by her allies. And this is a very close call towards either side, but getting that first lane of Barracks means that Team Yugoslavia are in a much better position to take this game, although it's not over. Never give up, Resolution.
Yeah, and I mean, it's suddenly something that with a Spectre, right? Spectre plus a Quap plus an A, you can clear those mega creeps. Spectre, one of the few heroes who can really deal with a lot of that. But they're gonna want to get experience on this Ancient Apparition. If they can get him level 16, then you can just, as you said, sit him in base. Level 16 ultimate with Aghanim's upgrade, it lasts for what feels like forever. That's actually why they couldn't save Silence's life earlier. Just even with Shallow Grave, you don't have the duration. It's like 12%, I think. So, but either way, really rough with one DC player. I'm not sure what's the best strat to win this. I think they have to go super, super late.
And I think Queen of Pain needs to start building to some major right-click items. They do have the Bloodlust to help scale her through, but it feels like FN's just not doing enough inside these engagements. He has the Manta style, but maybe you just start going for really heavy-hitting items. The BKB on Queen of Pain's going to be a great asset for them and will allow her to transition, but the last pickup for Queen, probably like an Assault Cuirass.
Yeah, definitely. Looking onto this, though, big turnaround, obviously, for the Radiant, you know, over a 10k net worth lead now, and about the same in experience, so looking grim. Either way, Funnick does have up that Aghanim Scepter. So many Ags coming out. Only Spectre who doesn't have an Ags on that on the Dire team. And now they're going for Roshan for Team Yugoslavia.
Cole has a Consume Moon Shard. The Anti-Mage is doing so much damage and would be able to take down Roshan pretty much by himself if left alone, but for now, it's not going to be the case. They're going to keep the Ice Best flowing from their own base, and it looks like they want to contest, although Roshan with the Solar Crest up for their team. Who's sitting on that? I believe it's the Dazzle. They should be able to take this out fast. They're going to pop the Nightstalker ultimate. Run looking for the wraparound. They're not smoked up, but the Dire don't have vision around the corner. And even if they did, with the darkness up, those wards on the high ground mean hardly nothing. And they're going to be forced back into their base. They won't get caught out by this, but then again, Roshan is going to be going towards the Radiant side. They'll get the Aegis handed to Grazine. Cheese on the deck, and this is pretty much the death ball push.
So, imagining if somehow they make it back from this team fight, it's gonna be great, but this is the hardest of team fights, you could say, to make it back to, so
I think it relies on a Witch Doctor ultimate coming out. If they're going to take this engagement, if they're going to look to win this fight, they need to get a good channel off from that. But as long as the Silencer is there inside the fight, I don't think that's going to happen. They do have the Glimmer to somewhat help, and I do believe there's a gem on Victor. So the Dazzle has to be far away. They have to get a Glimmer on towards him, and Global Silence has to be used. It's a tall order, and even if that happens, the damage is probably not enough in its entirety. Anti-Mage is going to be fully 6-slotted. Should he want to pick that last item up to replace the Vlads? Even without it, absolutely terrifying. They're going to look for a smoke up with the rest of their team, hunting inside the enemy woods. If they take down a single hero from the side of Team Ukraine, it's probably all over. Ooh, double damage rune. They did not need that to be picked up by Cole. This is go time.
Yeah, this is terrifying. They're actually smoked up. Gonna see what they can find. AM just gonna keep pushing. I don't know if these two can catch anything as they say that, though. Jakira really close to the rest of the enemy team. Let's see if he can make something happen. He sees them. He doesn't go for anything. Not even the Yules to set up an ice ball. It's just waiting for AM. I think they're gonna do the force in middle, go destroy bottom racks. So...
And it's not going to take them that long. Looks like the double damage rune is not going to be there for much longer for Cole. And actually using it inside this fight is going to be hard. But now we have a smoke up from the Dire side. A tense situation from both of these teams, but mostly for Team Ukraine. Spectre is doing her best to split push top. Has the Manta style on cooldown for a while, but we'll have that for the next engagement. Now wrap around from Funnick, from Resolution, under the guise of smoke. This is probably their best hope. They're going to go on to victory. Has the Shallow Grave. Sonic Wave will be thrown, but with the Abyssal onto Resolution, the Queen's going to go down with no buyback available, and things are falling apart for Ukraine. Funnick's caught in the ice path. So is the Spectre. Mana Void onto a 0-mana Spectre. She's going to go down. Buyback from the Spec. She doesn't have a hunt to get back into this engagement as Funnick is doing battle against Mitch and Cole. With a couple of bashes thrown, they'll be able to get that kill. Grazine is losing the man fight against the Spectre, but he has an Aegis, mind you. Silence up, slowed down FN. He's going to look for the turnaround. The Ice Blast will not connect onto the silencer, but even if it did, this doesn't matter. The racks have already fallen, and FN's going to die for the second time, and the game is over, even though Witchsucker gets a decent channel. One bash is going to put an end to it. And just like that, Team Yugoslavia have taken out game number 1.
Yeah, so we will be headed into a game 2. Really exciting match between these two teams, though. Unfortunate on that DC. I'm sure we'll have another stand-in. Hopefully it's not going to be a case if we can't find a stand-in like yesterday. But I'm excited for game 2. Yugoslavia is showing that they can most certainly match up to the powerhouse of Team Ukraine.
What a terrible situation to have that game 1 victory in. However, it's really bad that Always Wanna Fly disconnected, even though I don't think it changes the outcome of that game too much. If the Ancient Apparition is there, maybe you get a couple of better Ice Blasts, but I think in general the victory was the Radiant's to take. The Anti-Mage got absolutely stacked. There were times where it looked like their grip was slipping, but the Anti-Mage had a near flawless game. 846 GPM, 13-1 and 14. We'll be moving on to game number 2 in just a minute. See you then.